left. Thank you. My name is Matt Casey. I'm with the Surrender Group. We are the applicant before you tonight for the proposed Dollar General on the Ships property. My engineer is running about a couple minutes late. He may be coming in on the fly. He's got the big presentation boards. What I can do is, if you have the smaller plans in front of you, I can kind of walk you through that as we get going. But before we start, I'd like to just tell you a little bit about Dollar General in case you don't know that much about them. They are a convenience store. They're not a dollar store. So that sometimes can be a misperception about what goes on inside of a Dollar General. There are going to be items in there for $1 or under, but there's going to be other items in there. You get to $20, $30. It really is a general merchandise. About 30–40% of the floor space is just dedicated to grocery, and then the other departments are, cards, over-the-counter, medical, beauty products, things like that. So really, it's a general store. It's not a dollar store. So with that, they operate 7 days a week, typically 8 a.m. till 10 p.m. But what they do is they scale back the hours. If they're not seeing business, say past 9 o'clock, they'll adjust it and then they'll start closing earlier. Same thing in the morning. If they're not seeing any business, say before 8, they may adjust it and go to 8:30 or 9 for a start. That'll happen after probably about 6 months of operation. They'll figure that out. Lighting is always a concern with the stores and how they interact with the neighborhood. All the parking lot lighting turns on a half an hour before open and turns off a half an hour after close. So they don't leave parking lot lighting burning all night. The same thing with the entry signs and the signs over the doorway. Those turn on and off as well, half an hour before open and a half an hour after close. To make it a little bit more friendly to the residents. Although we don't have residents directly on either side, there are some, behind and further away. Here's Chris, our engineer, so I'm doing a good job trying to stall. But with that, probably the other main Dollar General operational issue is truck deliveries. When does that take place? The main Dollar General semi comes once a week, and then takes the main bulk of their goods. But they contract locally with other providers for such as Pepsi or Frito-Lay or milk, and those come on an as-needed basis. So that could be multiple times a week depending on a run, or just once a week depending on that as well. But all that can be handled in a truck, in a designated truck delivery area. Chris, who's brought in, and I'll let Chris go through the big details and the fine points of the application. But what we're doing is, when you're looking at the Ships property, the restaurant portion is staying. Okay, we're not taking that, we're taking the convenience store over here. And the property is going to share a single driveway coming out through here. So the Ships property will be able to exit out and also enter back in through there. The Dollar General parcel is probably, it's about an acre and a third, Chris? Acre and a quarter? Yep. Able to be parked, itself meets parking requirements, able to meet the truck delivery, that's back here in the corner, able to meet our own stormwater management. Don't believe we're asking for any relief on any of the regulations. The only kind of goofy thing I would say is that we did find some low-grade wetlands there, and we need to get a state wetland permit, which I believe that's being applied for this week. We don't see any issues with that. We've talked to the state about it, but we do need to go through that process. So that's it as far as my overall goal. The only other thing is that, this is the second time you've seen the Dollar General application in front of you. We were down the street about a year ago, and obviously that site didn't go forward with us, really just from a few environmental reasons that Dollar General couldn't get past. They wanted to stay in town, so that's why we've refocused the site and come back to you with this new application. So with that, I can let Chris get into the nitty-gritty of the presentation.
Yeah, sorry I'm late. Chris Netto with Novus Engineering. So there's actually two parcels here. lot 21 and 22. And we're sort of doing some horse trading as far as property. The property goes way back and is just over 80 acres total between the two parcels. So we're only, for Dollar General, we're only taking about, what as Matt says, about an acre and a third. And then the remaining 7 acres will be Partnership's Chow's property. The store will be on municipal water and sewer. We do have to connect to the water line across the street with a small service, so we'll have to get a permit from DOT to do that. The sewer's on this side of the street, so that's pretty easy to hook into. All the storm water that's generated from the site will be put into a dry detention infiltration pond in this green area over here, and then that'll discharge out back to the wetlands. As Matt said, we do need a wetlands permit. We're filling about 10,000 square feet of wetlands. We also need a stormwater permit from Maine DEP, and we need a DOT permit for the driveway. As you know, the site's pretty wide open, so you can cars can come and go as they please. We're proposing to close off basically everything except for the one driveway for both Ship's Chow and Dollar General. So a single driveway with a left turn out, right turn out, and then an incoming lane. And we'll do that by just landscaping in front of the existing restaurant and in front of Dollar General. So with that, I mean, we've submitted a full plan set. We have some exterior lights, pole lights that will come on a half hour before the store opens, and then it'll shut off around a half an hour or so after the store closes. There will be some emergency lighting in the front of the store, just for security reasons. It will stay on all night. We will have a pylon sign out front, as well as a sign along the building, on the building itself. Did you talk about hours?
We did.
Matt? Yep. Yeah. So that's really it. We've done quite a few of these stores in southern Maine and New Hampshire, and they're pretty straightforward, pretty simplistic.
I think the only thing I'd like to add is where we are is with the due diligence on this. We've done all of our environmental investigations, which is where we had our issues on the last location, and we've cleared all those. So we're in good shape as far as environmental goes and geotech goes.
So, questions from the board?
Yeah, on your wetlands, I see on the green there, you're gonna make a rock place for all the water off the building and stuff.
Yes.
The road will be pitched towards that.
Yes.
And you're saying the rest of the water that goes down back, right there, is down back the wetlands. But how much water isn't gonna go there, it's gonna go down back in the wetlands.
Yeah, everything from the site that you see here is captured and put into the detention pond. There is a slope off the parking lot, obviously, that will drain into the wetlands, but we submitted a stormwater management report. I only submitted one copy. I wasn't sure how many you wanted, but it basically shows that there's no more flow leaving the site than it currently does now.
Will the concrete bus still stop there?
That's a good question. I did notice that
No, they
there are
don't.
no plans for that
They
in the
don't.
store, no.
They don't stop there.
They don't
They don't
stop
stop
now.
there anymore?
No,
No, they stopped a couple weeks back, but
yeah.
is that something you'd be open to? Because it would be nice to have a Concord bus stop.
It's not stopping, but
Where do they stop now?
They don't?
Wiscasset
There's no longer a
isn't, it
stop.
wasn't a stop.
They approached me, and because I'm not open 12 months, they gave up on it.
I think the only way it would really work for their plans if it's just done within the right of way that's out there. And I don't know if we're able to get that.
You have to pull in the back.
You need,
turn around.
they want two,
Yeah.
an entrance and an exit.
Yeah.
I have a question. The food, you said it's not a convenience, it's a general store. Will you be having fresh food at all in there?
At this time, they don't. You know, it's concept that they've been working at. Everything they have is packaged and prepared.
Right. This is kind of just a glimpse of what they offer.
The reason I ask is because that's the thing with a lot of these stores that pop up in places, like say all the people that live in the back that may not have transportation to Shaw's, they don't get to fresh produce or fresh meat or anything without, you know.
That is one thing Dollar General is working on. They're just not there yet. I don't want to say it's not going to happen down the road. It's just right now they're not prepared.
What's the relationship between the eventual lot owner, this new lot that will be created, and the applicant?
So
Who will own title to the property?
we will, Zaremba Group will. So we have an approved lease right now with Dollar General that, you know, provided we can obtain all the approvals, we're able to go forward and build the store. We'll own the lease, and then probably at some point, you know, the lease will be sold out on the market to the investors who will own the Dollar Generals full time. But when you look at the leases, all the maintenance and hard not repairs, stormwater maintenance, you know, making sure the building is staying clean and good, that all falls on the operator. That's all on Dollar General.
So I typically, if there's an issue with the store, if there's trash blowing around or something like that, you talk directly to the store manager and then the one that handles any complaints.
So they handle all their own grass cutting and their own snow removal.
I didn't see any bearings or distances to define that lot yet. And
I actually have a plan.
two different areas, so.
Yeah, I actually, we got the final Alta survey after we had done the drawings, but I do have a copy of the final Alta that I can submit for the record here. It does show the two lots.
You have another one we could look at?
I'm sorry, I only brought one. I apologize.
We have these, do you show?
Yeah, I didn't get them into the drawing package that I submitted last week in time. So that's the only.
Oh, okay.
There is a survey plan in there, but it doesn't accurately show the lot division like that one
Kind of a dumb question, but what happens to Ship's Chow Hall now? Is that, who owns that? Is that going to
does. They're gonna still own the 7 acres that
And they'll
remain,
continue to run,
as far as we know.
oh, it's the same.
With or without the acreage?
Unless they were included in something else, we'll want letters from the water, sewer, and fire saying, you know, that, you looked at it.
Yep, and we typically ask for will serve letters from the utility, so we'll get copies of those to the town.
We do sign site plans, so there has to be an approval block.
Okay. Does everybody sign, or is it just the chair?
Everybody.
Okay.
Well, 5 people.
Well,
The majority.
Yeah.
Majority present. You are asking for a waiver. Could you explain that? And maybe it was in the stormwater management plan, I only have one copy of it. Other than your statement as to, which is pretty general, which is a waiver from the 3% to 5%.
I'm sorry, I've drawn a blank for the waiver that we
Waiver from the driveway requirement, driveway shall not be more than 3% grade, 40 feet
Oh,
from the edge.
gotcha, yeah. The site drops down really quickly, and in order to match the grades for the existing Ship's Chow, we have to go a little bit steeper than 3% to come off the highway. It's almost imperceptible. I mean, right now, when you come off the pavement, it drops down probably 5, 6, 7% into the parking lot, so.
Which is why several times we've seen low bed trailers get hung up there on Block Route 1 halfway out. And
Yep, so again, we're gonna create a nice gradual driveway coming off the highway so the trucks can get out and get off the highway. It's just a little bit steeper than what the town.
And the water on that driveway will flow.
It all comes into the site and it
Into the
goes into
site.
the pond, yeah.
And the other one I had was, one-to-one slopes on the back. That's pretty steep.
Yeah, so we're doing that to minimize the wetlands disturbance, and we do that with an engineered slope, so they actually will put a geogrid reinforcing that holds the slope back. It's almost like a retaining wall, but it's actually vegetated as a vegetated slope.
That make it much harder to maintain. I mean, eventually it's gonna grow up into
Yep.
woody brush.
Yeah, it's gonna be weed whacking in order to clear off the slope, but we want the vegetation to grow back there to help further stabilize the slope. It will go back to wildlands eventually.
Oh, yeah.
I think, Chris, a lot of that is also through discussions with wetland, correct, to minimize the amount of disturbance going on in the wetland area.
Absolutely. To minimize the amount of fill that gets put in there and then to minimize the amount of wetland disturbance. There is also a New England telephone easement that runs right across the back, and we made sure that we're not touching that easement.
You could probably buy that.
Yeah?
It's not functional.
Really?
It's already been severed in many places
Yeah.
since it's no good.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, people have gotten releases on those. It used to be easy.
Yeah.
It's not anymore.
Well, we've made it easy for ourselves, and we're Ship's Chow is gonna own the easement, so we're staying completely away from that.
So what do we have for more questions? Anybody have any other questions?
Staked out site plan, site visit,
Hmm?
site visit.
Are you ready for a site walk?
We can be ready. I can have the surveyors out there and stake whatever you want to see.
Well, we'll need to see the parking area and
Yep.
where the building's going.
Yep,
Where the retention pond is.
yep. How quickly would the board want to do?
What's this gonna-
April 15th, when it's warm.
It's not more than April.
Compared to Wednesday, it'll be very.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who can go and when?
I can go, and Wednesday's the only day I can't go.
The only day you can't go? Wednesday sounds a little nasty.
Yeah, it is, anyway, yeah.
I'm gonna need a few days to get
Yeah,
the surveyors
well,
out there.
give me a rough idea
Next
of
week.
something to next week.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Well, want to shoot for, say, Wednesday of next week? Oh, do you say Wednesday's the
Wednesday's the
only?
only bad day for me.
Yeah,
I can
okay.
go.
How about Thursday of next week?
I'm available.
You're available? You're available? You're
I have
available?
another time.
Tony Allen did.
I can go too, pretty freed up. Be easy.
More than that, yeah.
Thursday is the 7th.
Yeah.
Is it the 7th?
Yeah, February 7th.
Yes.
Or if Deb is going?
I can't go till 3.
It is
Is
gonna
that
be
too late?
7th.
No.
It's still light out now.
Okay.
4 o'clock?
You'll be done in an hour.
4 o'clock?
4 o'clock for everybody?
Yep.
Tony, you're gonna go?
Yeah.
And you wanna go?
Yep,
Jeff?
sure. Next Thursday at 4.
I may even go. I shake myself loose. Okay, 4 o'clock, February 7th. So we want to set we're going to be ready for a public hearing, you think, at the next meeting?
We're gonna have to get letters from everybody, they're gonna have to get, subject to
Right, that's why I
wetland and
wanna-
everything else, so.
Yeah.
And they haven't notified the butters.
You're right.
If you have that.
They would have time for that, so.
So, just making sure I'm clear, we can't have another meeting until we pull a wetlands permit?
I think you're allowed to provide a conditional approval subject to receiving state permits,
Right.
right? Yeah. So with the abutters, we sent out the certified letters
Yep.
to the abutters?
Yes, everybody within 250 feet.
Okay. And those have to go out 10 days before the hearing? Is it 10?
Yeah.
I think that's-
Both sides of the road?
Hmm?
Both
Yep,
sides
both
of the
sides
road,
of the road.
250
250 feet,
in any
you
direction.
know, complete.
Yep.
And because it's part of the
From
bigger
the
lot,
ship shell hall lot or from
it
the
hasn't
lot
been
they're doing?
divided yet, I don't
That's a big
believe.
You're
So
right.
you're gonna have to do
Well,
250
their
feet
lot.
of that entire property.
Yep,
I'd say it's from the corners of the line.
It'd be your lot.
right.
So you don't have to go to the back end of the ship's chow hall and
What-
go.
Actually, we do because it
You
is
do
part-
because it's one parcel, it
It's
hasn't been
part-
split yet. So they're gonna have to go to all the corners of it and go 250 feet to legally do it.
I just say if you don't.
So 10 days, does that give us to the 7th?
I'm not sure. What's the calendar
Well-
look like?
We may not
The
have, we were talking about, the 11th is the next meeting, we may not have a quorum, is what we were talking about earlier.
Oh, really? Oh,
For ORC.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Of
oh, I
course.
see,
Well-
he won't be here, I probably won't be here, you'll still have enough if everybody else shows up. I don't believe I'll be here that night. And definitely ORC's not gonna have a quorum.
But they won't have time to put it in the newspaper twice, do that procedure twice.
Should really plan it for the following. It's gonna be awful tight to get it together for then, for the 11th. But for the 25th, you'll have time to get everything done. But then you'll at least be able to show that you've applied for all these permits, subject to their approval. By then you've applied, and we can just see copies of it.
Okay. And you said,
The papers only come out on Thursdays.
okay, and we have to be in the paper twice?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
So it's a certified mail to the abutters and in the newspaper as well. I'm sorry.
We take care of that.
Yeah.
They're right behind you.
Newspaper, not newspaper. Doesn't the town do?
Oh, yeah, town does it.
Yeah, the town will take care of the newspaper.
Oh, okay.
But bill you for it.
At your expense.
All right.
Despite those people that write articles about you.
Any other questions? Yeah, I guess you're on your way.
All right, we'll see you
See you
on
next Thursday.
Thursday, right? Very good. Thank you.
Public hearing.
Thank you.
25th, we'll have a hearing.
We want the 11th, there's one application.
Oh, there's, okay, so February 11th, next one.
Yeah.
Second,
Okay, that's what I said, we may not
second and
have a quorum.
fourth Mondays.
Same as the, or,
Yeah,
You said the 25th, right?
Yeah.
yeah. 11th, 18th, 25th. You have other business, Mr. Chairman?
Does anyone have any other business? Oh, that's right, we've got some, we've got a dog coming out.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've been on that.
Excuse me,
Perfect. Okay.
how long for we can sign, how long will we start on this?
I'm sorry?
How long will we start on this? Start.
Start in the spring, Hey, Matt?
That's for another meeting.
Start construction and construction?
Just passing them out so we don't have to mail a thing. Hopefully to start on the beginning of May.
That was the other business? That was the other business?
I'll just say May. I'll leave that May.
I'm jonesing to make my motion.
Anybody else have any other business?
Completed at end of September.
At 7:25, I make a motion, we adjourn.
I second.
All those in favor?
All right. That's for the next meeting.
Yeah.
Put the papers.
We're gonna change.
Yeah, I definitely would be interested. Yeah, I like art. It's my favorite. I haven't been any indoor art.
So when,
Oh, you still walking?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I like.
Yes, my daughter's from
And other art stuff, that's what kind of thing I'm looking for. And when they do two arts, it's I don't understand the whole thing.
This would be the entrance.
Oh, that's
One of the things, he felt bad because
well, they were school. As Megan says, he sent us to chicken pox.
Oh, there.
Yes,
It comes up in boxes and then.
Oh, I think I
that's
know.
why you feel good.
Yeah, your partner. Oh, okay.
Like a Marion leaf. Good for you, keep it up. See,